Hi there. It's not unusual for me when I go and visit a client for them to have already had advice from other behaviorist trainers, the internet, friends, that kind of thing. And I get used to hearing about some of the techniques that have been suggested to them. Not all of them are very good, and I take a lot of joy and pride in correcting that and helping people get onto a much better path when they're training their dogs. Um, just a few days ago, I was in a situation with a client and they were explaining to me a technique that they had been recommended. And I wanted to come and talk to you about it today because actually it really upset me. I hear lots of terrible stories all the time, but this one just really got into my heart. So they'd been advised regarding their dog's feeding routine that one technique they can use to assert their dominance over their dog, show their dog who's boss, and be in charge of their dog, is to mess with their food. So don't feed them at set times, give them random food, just, whenever you feel like it, and also to give them a food break once a week. I've heard of this technique being used before. It's just an awful way to behave with your dog. But this time it just went one step further. And this is really where it kind of broke me, because they were advised to give their dog an empty bowl on the day that they're giving them a food break. So not only did they not get fed that day, it was made so flippin' obvious by this empty bowl being given to them. Imagine how that would feel. It's so abusive to give your dog an empty bowl. It's just saying, I could have fed you, but I chose not to. And honestly, that just makes me feel so sad. Our dogs have no autonomy at all over their lives. They go where we tell them, they sleep where we tell them. They've got no choice over what they eat, where they go, what they do, and when they eat. They trust us to get this stuff right. And it's really important. Just imagine, putting all of your trust in somebody and then they give you an empty bowl. I mean, that's just so awful, so intentional. Imagine what that would do to your relationship with somebody if they did that to you. I'm not feeding you today on purpose, just because I can, just to show you that I'm the boss. I mean, what does this do to your trust? They depend on us to get this stuff right. We should never weaponize food. I mean, a good leader, if that's what you're trying to do, you're trying to be this pack leader, this alpha boss, being dominant over your group. If that is actually the technique and the system that you're subscribing to, it still doesn't work. You have to inspire trust in the group that you're leading, whether it's dogs or people. You just can't lead like that. Aside from that, there's so many benefits to a good routine, and it really upsets me when I hear of people messing with routine on purpose, because a predictable routine reduces anxiety in dogs. Just changing their routine so they know when to expect playtime, when to expect their food, all of that stuff makes their lives so much just easier. They just relax knowing that this stuff will come to them and they don't have to think about it. Imagine worrying about food all day because you don't know when or if you're even going to get fed. Having a predictable food routine means that they'll have a better sleep routine, which is also good for anxiety, because having consistent naps through the day gives their brain a chance to undo any anxiety, file it all away, deal with it, start afresh. It affects their mood, their blood sugar, they'll be less grumpy. When you get a dog, we are responsible for meeting all of these needs. We have to take this responsibility to heart. If we don't give them predictable food, then their body is going to enter a survival mode. When a dog worries about food, that triggers survival mode. That's what happens. It makes them more reactive. They'll become more selfish and more guarded in the way that they make decisions. They'll become more protective over their stuff. This is what rescue dogs go through when they, have to fight for their food. If they're worrying about food, it's exactly the same. So if anybody ever tells you to skip a meal or offer an empty bowl or mess around with your dog's food routine in the name of behavior training, please run a mile. That person does not understand psychology. They don't understand how the brain works. They don't understand that those types of routines are actually going to trigger much worse behaviors later on down the line. They're using techniques that are based on theories that were never even meant for dogs. They were developed around a study on wolves, which also has been disproven. So they're using disproven techniques that were never even meant for your pet dog. So yeah, sorry, that got a little bit ranty, but it just really upsets me to hear about that empty bowl. Honestly, it just really got me. I can't imagine how it would feel to be given an empty bowl at dinner time. So yeah, thank you for listening. It feels better to get that out. And I will see you next time. Take care for now. Bye-bye now.